It comes and goes. We're out here chasing a feeling.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Feels Out Loud, brought to you by Becoming Together Therapy and Wellness. This is your host, Tanya Martini, along with the fabulous Becky McNattin. We're glad to have you listening as we live and share stories of mental health.
Okay, everybody. We are venturing into new territory today.
We are.
As you all know very well, you're sitting listening at home, we highlight mental health and wellness every single week. And I would guess that by now many of you recognize our views on literally everything being able to be therapy.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about all that all the time, Tara. Therapy is anything that promotes your healing. And this can definitely be talk therapy. We do that for a living. There are many different modalities for that we highlight on our show and have highlighted on our show. There are the expressive therapies, which we have big bias in their amazing capacity to get beyond verbalization of talk therapy.
And we've highlighted some of those as well.
And we've highlighted those too. And today we're stretching that a bit more. We want to talk about experiential therapies, specifically energy work, which might be new to people to be a route and promote mental well-being. To help us process this is Reiki Master Tanya Hartman. Welcome, Tanya.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
We are so pumped to have you on the show today. As we get started, tell us about you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I am a former professional, corporate professional, I should say, that has since turned certified Reiki Master, sound healer, and owner of Owlwise Sanctuary of Serenity. And I joined the Becoming Together team in January to provide additional services for energy healing if clients should want to try that.
Which is a big life shift.
It's huge.
I mean, moving from a profession that is very different from Reiki, and then you're sort of called into the Reiki world.
Yeah, it was just one of those experiences where I was impacted by a layoff and decided that I was going to take a leap of faith and follow that deeper rooted calling for holistic healing.
Okay.
And here I am.
What a peaceful destination.
Yes. Well, tell us, what is Reiki?
Yeah, so the basic concept of Reiki is universal life energy, and it's a process by which a practitioner will channel that energy. And the concept is the recipient is allowing their body to relax and become more into a balanced state.
Okay, so people are out of balance or could be out of balance.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. And it works. I like to think of it can be physical. So if you're stressed, overwhelmed, burned out, it can be emotional. You're experiencing grief, sadness, or just feeling overwhelmed. A lot of times our bodies respond, our nervous system responds to that fight or flight mode. And Reiki basically comes in and supports restoring that balance to get your body back into that natural energy flow.
Okay. How does it work?
Yeah. So again, the concept is the practitioner will channel that energy. So take, for example, you come in for treatment, you're going to lay down on a massage table, fully clothed, and your job is to do nothing but relax.
I mean, that sounds pretty amazing.
Yeah.
That our only job is to just lie down and relax.
Yes.
Yep.
We can handle that.
Yeah.
But sometimes that actually is really hard.
It is.
It's a very good point, Becky.
Especially if we're not, that takes practice sometimes in the whirlwind of life to have a moment where our job is to settle.
Well, and particularly if our energy is off balance.
Yes.
Or if we are struggling.
Yes. Yeah. It's the beauty of it, again, is you don't have to do anything but relax. And to your guys' point, if you are having struggles or trouble trying to get into that mental mind state, we can set intentions beforehand.
Okay.
And there are certain moments where we can go into kind of a grounding or guided meditative experience.
Well, we'll get there.
Yeah.
Right now, we're going to take a short commercial break. But thank you for listening to Feels Out Loud. We will be back in just a moment.
You gotta find the people Express yourself.
Welcome back to Feels Out Loud, brought to you by Becoming Together Therapy and Wellness. I am Tanya Martini along with Becky McNattin. Let's dive right back into our fascinating discussion on Reiki with Tanya Hartman.
Okay, everyone. I have to disclose my own bias about Reiki.
I was waiting for this.
I'm also a Reiki master, and I very much believe in the healing power of recognizing energetic impacts to us emotionally, psychologically, and certainly physically. I met Tanya at a Reiki training, and we got to spend an amazing weekend together where I actually received Reiki from you.
Mhm.
And so I'm excited to process this topic because I know that people have so many questions about it. I still have lots of questions about it, and I also am trained in it.
Absolutely.
So I want to dive in. First, to ask you though, what makes you passionate about Reiki?
That's a great question. I would say just years of receiving Reiki myself
Mm,
and experiencing the feeling. A lot of people will ask, well, what does it feel like? I can't explain it. And this question really got me thinking,
mm,
you know, when did that passion really ignite? And it had to have been when I was in the at the Grand Canyon. I had this profound, unexplainable sense of inner peace. And I wanted to
wow.
bottle that and keep it with me whenever I had stressful times or I just needed that moment to say, you know what, world, pause.
Mm,
Nothing else exists. I just want that feeling. And it was almost as if a light bulb went off. And kind of over the years, that was back in 2019, excuse me. And over the years, that passion just continued to grow because I committed to doing monthly Reiki treatments. And again, feeling how much better I am able to move about my days. And when stuff gets, stressful or whatever it may be, I'm able to take a moment and say, okay, I'm safe. I'm here. Everything's going to be okay.
mm.
And I literally visualize going back to that spot in the Grand Canyon where I had that profound experience.
And when you went to the Grand Canyon, had you already been doing Reiki?
I had,
Okay.
and I never equated it to that overwhelming sense of inner peace until that specific moment.
Okay.
So I just figured it was the universe telling me this is what you need to do.
And I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
So, for our listeners out there, because Becky and I always lead with curiosity, so we're just absorbing all the things. But there, I am sure, are some listeners out there that are like, this already sounds very strange and different,
Absolutely.
and sometimes different is scary. For those that are grounded in science and need to understand it from that practical approach, this reminds me of things we learned back in science class in elementary school. Isn't this playing off of that whole thing of we are energy, and the energy you're talking about is that same energy that we reference in
Absolutely.
science?
Absolutely.
So Reiki is grounded in science as far as the energy we possess.
Yeah, there's a lot of information available. I like to tell people Reiki.org. It seems to
Okay.
be a central hub where information is made available. And there are a lot of articles that have been written over the years that correlate the scientific finding behind how Reiki works as
Okay.
a complementary therapy to conventional medical care.
Wow.
Yeah, ways we can map aspects of the brain, ways that people have shown some of the things you're talking about at a relaxed state, but people actually voicing that, or clinical studies that highlight the benefits, physical benefits of Reiki, but where it is grounded in a neuroscience.
Yes, which is pretty remarkable.
It is remarkable, although there are people all over the world who would say, well, we've known this
Well,
for
yes.
hundreds of years.
Like old news, guys. Old news.
Yeah, this ain't new.
You finally caught up with us.
But I love that we're exploring it now as a way to promote mental wellness,
Mhm.
and that mental wellness is physical wellness. And we talk about mind-body connection often on this show, that how our bodies feel is also how our emotions are operationalized.
Mhm.
Can you tell us a little bit, Tanya, the history of Reiki,
Yeah.
even as a treatment option?
Yeah. So, what I know is that Reiki dates back to the early 1900s. It was primarily founded, I will say, in Japan. In 1922, Dr. Mikao Usui, whose lineage I follow or trace up to, opened his first clinic. And the premise of that was to treat patients in a hands-on setting by channeling that energy based on a profound experience he had had um, on a pilgrimage prior. And so it's been around forever. And as people became curious and wanted to learn more, he then had students he would teach.
Mm.
And those students would then have students they would teach,
Mhm.
ultimately bringing it to the Western world. There was a student, Dr. Takata, who was one of the student descendants, and she played a major role in bringing awareness to the Western world by way of Hawaii in the 1930s.
Mhm.
And she
Mm.
also continued to teach additional students who became Reiki masters, who then carried on that tradition. And so a lot of it, again, was just, taking your hands and either lightly placing them on areas of the body or hovering over the body with the intention that you're channeling the Reiki energy. And then if we think about it today, there's been a lot of progress made in accepting that Reiki has value and does add value as a complementary therapy. And you can find a lot of facilities like hospitals, clinics,
Mhm.
and, churches maybe, where they'll bring in Reiki specialists to kind of help
Mhm.
as a complementary therapy.
Yeah, I was just reading something about Reiki and hospice, and it used as a treatment strategy for pain and or relaxation.
Nice.
Which so it's starting to be integrated, and maybe over the last couple of decades, not just now starting, but used in a wide variety of ways.
And I think that's so important and we've talked about this on the show before, that anytime that we can in the practice say to our clients, talk therapy is wonderful, but there's this other thing that we offer.
Hmm.
And to be able to provide a more complete care plan is just so incredible, especially to be able to say to our clients, like, we want to take care of you not only in this way, but in this way as well.
Yeah.
Um, to take care of them and just cover their wellness in more ways than one.
Yes.
It's kind of like when it comes to education and focusing on the whole child rather than just part of the child.
Right. And that different modalities ring for different people.
Absolutely.
So in the way of education, that people maybe have different spaces of intelligence,
Mhm.
that you're this smart or this type of smart,
Right.
that there are going to be treatment options that highlight something for you, maybe different or work better for you than other people. And so that brings me to, like, Tanya, what does it treat? And when we talk about mental health issues or mental wellness, what would it help with?
Yeah. So going back, let's talk stress and nervous system regulation.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot on the
Yes.
show.
Yeah.
Yes.
So burnout, being overwhelmed, racing thoughts, anxiety, difficulties relaxing and
Mm.
or sleeping.
Mhm.
You then have emotional well-being, which covers kind of the depression, any traumas, life transitions, grief, sadness. It can be from before, it can be current. You also have that physical support where it can help to lessen headaches, um, decrease fatigue. There have been reports where muscle discomfort has also been treated by way of receiving Reiki.
Wow.
Yeah. And, a lot of times you'll hear in Reiki the term being grounded.
Mhm.
That's again just going back to stating that your energy is balanced. You don't have blockages of energy where you're experiencing those pains. So let me take a step back and just say, I have a headache. Well, you might be energetically blocked, not knowing that. And the moment that Reiki comes in and tries to move that energy to clear that blockage, you might notice, wow, my headache's decreased, or I don't have a headache.
Sure.
So Reiki can treat anything. There are no limitations to what it can treat. I think people equate it mainly to the physical aspects. Personally speaking, the emotional well-being, it has been life-changing for me.
Ooh.
Life-changing.
Well, and listening to your list, and like you said, it basically you just need to be human.
Yep.
Right? Like,
Yep.
I mean, everything, like any life transition, I'm like, we all have those
Yep.
where it just seems like anyone would really benefit. To kind of go off of that, when we say anyone, is there an age range? Like, do you take kiddos, or is this something really that,
Great point.
what's your norm as far as appropriate age to receive such a thing?
Yeah, anyone can receive. Obviously, if it's a minor, we would want parental consent.
Mhm.
But the beauty of receiving Reiki is you personally have committed to being open to receiving the healing, whatever that looks like. And so again, there's no age restriction. It's not about religion. There's no prerequisite to Reiki.
Mhm.
It's all about your willingness and desire to feel that inner peace.
Okay. So as long as they're old enough to understand that concept of
Yep.
just like, we're
Yep.
here to heal and feel better. And
Mhm.
okay.
Absolutely.
Well, and it makes me think about, Tara, you and I talk on the show all the time about how emotions create energy.
Yes.
We've talked about anger a lot on
Mhm.
this show, and that our body stores that somewhere.
Mhm.
So it makes a lot of sense to me that there could be times where that it's stored in a place that it needs to get released.
Yes.
I absolutely get that, because I can think about the activation of some emotions,
Mhm.
and that it would end up somewhere
Yeah.
in my body.
I go back to the way that people equate women, and they store a lot of that energy in their hip area.
Yes.
Well, who would think that anger is stored in my hips? And so Reiki, while yes, the practitioner can feel subtle shifts of energy throughout or over the body, Reiki energy draws the practitioner to where they need to be. So you might come in saying, I have a headache, but I, as a practitioner, might spend more time in your lower half.
Mhm.
And there's a scientific correlation to why were you down in my hip area when I said my head hurts? And it's all about trusting that the energy is flowing where it needs to. And all of that is connected as part of the healing.
Wow.
So,
Yeah. Wow. So bring us into a session. Tell us, what does it look like? And especially for people who haven't ever done it before, they may be wondering, what is it like?
Right.
yeah. Yeah. So I like to tell people it's similar to receiving a massage.
Okay.
You come in, you will lay on a massage table. You
Okay.
do not have to. If you choose to sit up,
Hmm.
and we'll talk a little bit about distance Reiki or virtual Reiki,
Mm,
you do not have to lay down. I want the client to be comfortable. So we're going to work on getting you comfortable. It's non-invasive. It is basically, like I said earlier, we're going to allow you time to set an intention. What do you want to get out of this? We're going to assess whether or not you might need a little assistance in shutting down your brain for just that session or that moment,
yeah.
so that you can get the most benefit from that session. And then during this session, it's a matter of me hovering or using light touch with permission, and again, channeling that energy. And so your job as a recipient is to do nothing but relax. And I like to tell people, if you want, be present. Be present with what you're feeling. Take note of what you're feeling, because again, Reiki is you'll hear a lot of people that have had Reiki. Well, what's it like? I can't explain it.
Right.
It's a personal feeling because it works with every unique individual in the way that they need it to.
Mm-hmm.
I think an important point that you said a few seconds ago is because whether it's trauma or they just don't like the sensation of being touched, really important thing is that Reiki, you are not touched if you do not want to be, and the light touches only with consent. That this is a wonderful modality for people who do not like physical contact.
Absolutely.
Because you're just hovering over.
Yep.
And so what a wonderful way to receive peace without having to be touched if you don't.
Yeah, and the experiences could be sort of across the board. When people say, what is it like? It's hard to put into words, but I've heard things from sometimes people feel warm or tingly or kind of physical sensations of like, like the hairs on the back of my neck are standing up, or like I wanted to cough, or so noticing some physicalities that come up. Some people fall asleep.
They do.
Yep.
I've even borne witness to that, of they get put into such a relaxed space, or they're so calm they actually fall asleep. That's okay. I know one person who said, I've never fallen asleep when I get Reiki. I like, I'm too warm to. So that's, I think, where you're talking about. It's hard to put into words because there isn't one way that it might be received, and it could even change for that person. But
right.
Absolutely.
It's just how your body receives it. I remember when I did my first session, I remember seeing, my eyes were closed, but it was like the woman had opened the blinds. Like it was just like a very significant light, to the point where I opened my eyes and it was like, wow, that's weird that she opened the blinds. And I looked and it was still very dark. And I was like, whoa. Another part of that same session, like just a tear came down. And it wasn't just because I was laying there, but it just caused this emotion where I was like, where did that come from?
You bring up a good point. I do have a client who sees colors often, and she'll just blurt out in the session, I'm seeing yellow, I'm seeing green. And I don't like to put myself in a position to where people become skeptical of my feedback. And so I always tell my clients, be free to express what you're seeing, what you're feeling, what you're hearing. I'll talk to you about it at the end, because I don't want there to be any type of like subjective bias. But a lot of times when I am hovering over, or in a lot of times the client that sees colors, we do distant Reiki, and 9 times out of 10, we have what we call chakras, or chakras, some people know them by. And there are colors associated to those. And 9 times out of 10, when I'm hovering and she's calling out a color, it's the chakra that I am hovering over.
It.
Yeah. And again, as a practitioner, you go into this like, how do I know it's real? How do I know I'm having this profound effect on somebody's, well-being? All of that feedback comes to you.
But she's not aware of where your hands are because you're hovering, or you're doing distant.
Distance.
Oh my gosh.
And there are times where even I tell people with distant Reiki, you don't have to be sitting still. You could be at work. You could be doing something. It's about the practitioner and the client setting that intention and basically saying, I'm going to send you distant Reiki at some point today. I'll let you know when it's done. And I did that with another actual former classmate, I'll say, in our Reiki class. And she and I exchanged distant Reiki, and I was working on her. She was traveling, and I text her and said, hey, I just finished your Reiki. Here's what I picked up on. And she was like, oh my gosh, my heart just opened up. I had this overwhelming sense of grief, but it was so peaceful. And I was like, okay, there's yet another validation that, I'm not saying what I'm doing is, quote, real. I'm validating that channeling the universal energy really does work and promote healing.
Yeah.
And what do you mean by universal energy?
Yeah. So Reiki is like life source energy. It's just an abundant ever flowing source of energy that is available to tap into.
Everything around us.
And
Yeah.
then with that, if you're tapping into the universal energy, is your energy impacted?
No, that's a great question. It, for the most part, no, because channeling Reiki requires you to put your ego and personality aside, and you serve. I always tell myself, I am a conduit channeling the universal Reiki energy
Mm.
that so and so is deserving of receiving. That's kind of my meditative state when I go in, to make sure that I'm not using my energy. I'm not picking up on your emotions or your, distress state, we'll say. And there are also practices that as practitioners, we can do after a session to make sure that we close off that energy exchange as myself being a conduit to channel, and that the energy comes directly from source and continues to flow after the session for the recipient.
Okay.
And you mentioned a couple times now the word intention. It's one of my most favorite words.
Yes, it is.
People who know me know that. But you mentioned kind of setting an intention at the beginning. I have a couple questions about it. What if people, can you give us some examples of what the intentions might be? And what's the point of setting an intention?
Yeah. So setting intentions are helpful, again, just to allow yourself to really think about, what do I want out of the session?
Okay.
And
What's your looked for outcome?
exactly.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be anything. It can be specific. It does not have to be specific. It can be short, sweet, direct. It can be long and drawn out.
Okay.
Their intentions, I like to say, help us to focus our awareness and give us something to anchor to. Because again, take the likes of meditation. Not many of us are great at meditating because our thoughts start going this way, that way, whichever way, right?
Yes.
And I tell people, when you set that intention and your thoughts start racing, bring back that intention, and it subconsciously shifts you and your body back into receiving that Reiki energy.
Oh, I
at
totally
that
love
time.
that.
Yeah.
It's sort of this idea of, rather than having your mind go blank, like release all the thoughts, bring your mind to this one particular
Yes.
thought.
Mhm.
And in that, is it like a word then? You said it could be a phrase even, but
Yeah, it could be as simple as, I allow myself to relax and release tension. It could be as simple as, I am open to receiving whatever healing I need today. It could
okay.
be as simple as, I want to feel less stressed. When you put those words out there and you help yourself to believe that's what you're worthy of, that's what you
Mm.
want to do, I truly believe that the Reiki energy picks up on that and works towards healing whatever it is you personally are seeking.
Mhm.
Wow, that is so powerful when you say that when you believe you're worthy of
Yeah.
that. What is, and if you can think to past clients you've had, what is a specific intention, when you say general of, I just want to feel more relaxed, I want to feel more open. What's an example of a specific intention that someone has said?
Yeah. So I'll share my personal.
Okay.
I've gone into Reiki where it's been high stress, a number of things that are adding to it. And I've gone in and said, my intention is being open to receiving the energy that so and so is sending me.
Oh, yeah.
And as well as, I want to feel less stressed, or I want to smile when I leave this session. Something as simple
Wow,
as
very
a
specific. Yeah.
physical action. And
Yep.
again, it can be small, because the beauty of Reiki is, when you set that intention, you're also not limiting yourself
Right.
to that, only receiving healing for that specific thing.
Mhm.
It goes back to the energy knows what your body needs and will work
Right.
with your body.
But I love what you said about it. You did it as specific as regarding a certain person.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah. So it's very powerful.
And then do you check in with people about the intention at the end?
I will. I'll ask them if they want to share their intention. It comes out more along the lines of people naturally want to talk about their experience.
Yes, they do. Yes,
And
they do.
9 times out of 10, that experience relates to what intention they set, whether I know it or not. Again, people like to talk, so they'll share that intention. And then my advice is just kind of noodle on that and see how you feel. Like, watch how you feel later in the day, watch how you feel the next couple of days, and then go back and ask yourself, did I enjoy that feeling? Do I want to feel that sense of calm and peace again? Or is there something that I can move on to?
Mm.
So,
when you think of, as far as, modalities go, thinking one and done, or, is there a frequency as far as like, it's great to receive Reiki, if you reflect, like you said, did I like that peace and calm? And they say yes. What is it like as far as, have you had clients for years? Have you seen clients once a week? What does that look like
Kind of
as
frequency
far
and
as
duration.
Yes.
yeah, a lot of people will, me personally, I've committed as part of my self-care journey to incorporate Reiki once a month, to receive Reiki once a month.
Okay.
Given that I'm attuned, which basically just means I have direct access to that universal energy source, I try and give myself Reiki every day.
Okay.
Try, because I'm human and stuff happens.
Yeah.
But I noticed a personal shift when I committed to receiving Reiki treatments monthly.
Okay.
I have been receiving Reiki for over 20 years. And I can, again, speak from my experience of early on, I did it once every 4, 5, 6 months, maybe once a year, because I didn't fully understand how life-changing or the benefits that I would receive had I committed to going more frequently. So there's no right or wrong. One of the things that a lot of people will ask is, oh, is it covered by insurance? No, it's not usually.
Hopefully someday.
Exactly. I'm hoping. There might be some creative ways or programs that your employer offers, but for the most part, you can expect to be self-pay for Reiki. And so a lot of people get concerned with, I don't know if I can afford that. And again, it's one of those concepts of, you're going to seek Reiki treatments as your body tells you. Because I also used to think about, oh, the price, and I can't afford that. And I want to get my nails done or my hair done.
Right.
And over time, just seeing how it's personally impacted and changed my life, my self-care commitment and priority is receiving Reiki monthly. And I truly believe people will get there when they've had that experience and feeling, and they can start to see for themselves how Reiki is changing the way that they perceive what we would consider stressors, or, what kick us into that fight
Those
or flight.
daily life moments.
Yes,
Absolutely.
that's a
that
great way to look at
move
it.
us into that. That
Yep.
makes so much sense to me. Would you say there's side effects?
So again, I'm going to put that disclaimer out there that Reiki is completely safe. There's no wrong way to do it. There's no wrong way to receive it. Side effects, when we think about Reiki, people do notice, Terry, you had mentioned earlier, I felt a tear coming down. Very subtle shifts and changes. And again, I always tell people, you might feel like you're floating on cloud 9. You might feel some, repressed anger surfacing. There is the possibility of emotions rising to the surface. And that's a beautiful thing, because you want those emotions to rise, and that should validate if they are rising. Reiki's working to help bring them to the surface, to release them. You want to release them. A lot of times people, I don't like that feeling, or, oh, I was really hot. I don't like that feeling. Okay, but Do you like feeling how you do after that short-lived temporary moment of heat that's
Right.
going to go away?
Right.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes.
And, the peace that comes with it. So again, there are what I would consider side effects, but they are very short-lived, they are temporary, and they are part of the healing process.
Yeah. That healing is sometimes filled with some moments of tension.
And discomfort.
Discomfort is a beautiful word to put it. Yeah. That I once was doing Reiki with a person who just started crying
Mhm.
quite hard. And then talked about the experience of a big release. I mean,
Mhm.
we've done a show on the power of a good cry.
Yes. Yep.
And what it does to us, even biochemically, to offer that. So I love how you sort of frame the idea of, yes, it is an effect. It isn't necessarily a negative thing, but it might be experiences some discomfort. What changes have you seen it cause for people?
Where do you start? A lot of times, with clients, again, if they're regular clients or one and done, I always try to check back in with people to ask, how are you feeling, within a couple of days, just to do that courtesy touch outreach.
Mhm.
How are you feeling? Is there anything that I
Wow, that's
can?
an amazing service.
It is.
Yeah. I want to make sure that even if you are a one and done, that your experience of Reiki leaves more of a positive effect or has more of a positive effect than it does. I'm still skeptic and curious,
Yeah.
and that didn't do anything. Because Reiki is also about education and, just being open minded. A lot of changes that I've seen for people are, I think the biggest one is their ability to, I'll say, ground themselves in
Mm.
those fight or flight moments. Just
Mm,
picking up different ways along the sessions to say, hey, I found this mental anchor that I
Mhm.
can hold on to, and I'm going to use that in a moment. I'm feeling high stressed, bring myself to that space. I'm safe, I'm calm. And a lot of people say that it gets them through those moments without having to dwell or live in that negative space as long as they normally would.
Wow.
Mhm.
well, it makes a lot of sense that if things are getting cleared, there becomes a muscle memory on what that feels like.
Absolutely.
That our body is sort of, uh, I guess, becoming attuned to the idea of what it is like to kind of freely move things through.
Mhm.
So that would be a cool, hoped for outcome.
Yes.
That I love that you check in with people and ask them about it too, because it would make sense to me that how you even feel in the moment from my own experiences of receiving Reiki. uh, I had a different thought about it after I continued to sort of ponder it, as you said, sort of chew on this, like
Mhm.
keep thinking about your intention that you set for today. And it's not like my opinion did a 180, but I saw it more fully, or some of the impact of my Reiki session kind of settled in even.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah. And again, it goes back to, even when the session is done, the practitioner will or should, in my opinion,
Mhm.
set the intention on their end that you as a recipient continue to receive Reiki even after the session is closed
Mm.
off between myself and you as a client.
Wow.
So
It keeps going.
it does. It does not stop. It continues to go as long as you personally are open to receiving it. So, and
Okay.
the beauty of Reiki is, I can spend 5 minutes with you. I can spend an hour. I can spend an hour and a half. The time does not matter. It's behind the power of intention and what I'm putting into the universe for you to receive. So there is no time associated with Reiki.
Wow.
As a practitioner, we have to put time around to manage schedules. But I just, one of the things I want people to know is that there's no time associated.
Wow.
So cool. I mean, drop the mic. So much to think about here. We're headed to a commercial break. But when we come back, we're going to talk through questions from you all, our listeners. Feels Out Loud will process your questions and thoughts in just a moment.
You'll find yourself. You gotta find the people. Express yourself.
We are back again with Feels Out Loud, and this part of the show is where we talk through questions from you all, our beautiful listeners. If you have a question related to mental wellness, sharing feelings, or topics for each week that you would like us to process through, please visit our website at becomingtogethermn.com and find the Feels Out Loud page to submit a question directly, or email us at contact@becomingtogethermn.com. Of course, follow us on social media as well. We really do want to hear from you and what you are wondering about.
And we took a little bit of a different spin on this last segment today because we wanted to include some things we thought people might also wonder about.
Correct.
In terms of Reiki, since it's a new topic for lots, I would guess. Tanya, you mentioned in the last segment that Reiki can be offered not just in person, and so it can be offered virtually and from a distance. But can you explain this?
Yes. So I like to tell people, obviously, the virtual is the equivalent to being on Zoom or, working from a different state. We don't have to physically be located in the same space to receive Reiki. Distance Reiki, you can use it simultaneously with virtually, but for the most part, distance Reiki, one of the things that's cool is going back to Tara, your discussion around consent with light touch or people that don't want to be touched. You and I can sit in a room across from each other and I can send you Reiki with my eyes. It's that powerful. It does not have to be hands hovering over a body. I have... Okay, I'm going to shamelessly plug. I have a little Vikings bear that during the season, he serves a purpose. And one day somebody asked if I would send them Reiki, distance Reiki, and he became my Reiki mascot. And so I will physically use this teddy bear to place my hands on areas that I would if you and I were in the same room, to ensure I'm channeling that energy to said part of the human body.
Yeah, because virtual would kind of give the connotation of you're maybe on a screen and person has their eyes closed, so that would be at a distance. But a distance Reiki can be in the room, or you're not even in the same space on the same call at any moment in time. Wow, so cool. So how could people choose a quality provider?
Great question. My personal recommendation is trust your intuition. It's all about how you feel. There is a lot of information out there where they'll talk about practitioners training. That to me is important because you want to know what lineage they come from, and being new to receiving Reiki, what level of training have you received? Again, it goes back to how does the Reiki practitioner speak about Reiki? Do you feel their passion? Do they have those experiences where they can draw from personal experiences? So a lot of it, for me, I would recommend noticing how they speak about it.
Okay.
Acknowledging their training. You can use reviews as a starting point because we all want something to tell us if this is going to be worth it or not.
Sure, like a Google review, website review.
Absolutely.
Something like that.
There are a lot, again, just with Reiki kind of booming in the last 20 years and continuing to grow. Not every practitioner has a website or has reviews that are out there. So again, you can use it as a starting point, but don't focus your energy all around that's going to be my experience, because reviews are subjective. And again, the point of Reiki is creating that personal, unique healing.
Okay. Well, thank you, Tanya.
You're welcome.
We're already at the end of our show for today. Thank you for coming on the show. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Join us next week as we process through more mental health focused topics. And in the week ahead, everyone, be kind to yourself. Remember that connection fosters wellness, and your voice is one that the world around you needs to hear. Share yourselves, friends.
Some don't, some will, some won't. I wanna